welcome to the Webcast for Saturday, January 11th. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. It's another mostly clear start to the day, though a slight increase in low-level moisture has led to a few low clouds in the central California valleys. We also continue to see quite a bit of smoke coming off of the Palisades fire. As a dry air mass remains in place, mostly sunny conditions will continue today. After a short break, today is going to see the return of offshore winds to the region. Here are the current wind observations with the gust values shown in red, filtered to only show stations gusting at or above 20 miles per hour. And this is a classic signature of the early stages of a Santa Ana wind event. We have a lot of northerly winds out there right now, which will turn more northeast by later today. And if you look closely up at the 5-mile RAWs near Ridgecrest, you see a gust of 73 miles per hour. That's a big red flag that there's a lot of wind being pushed into the region from the north. We'll see offshore flow overspread all areas today, and a lot of the daytime and early evening hours today would probably be best characterized as weak Santa Ana type conditions, with wind gusts mainly at or below 40 miles per hour, mainly just through the most wind-prone corridors. However, things are going to change tonight as we get into a fairly short duration but also pretty significant round of Santa Ana winds. Solidly moderate, if not briefly strong conditions overnight, as northeast winds of 25 to 35 miles per hour with gusts to 55 miles per hour start to rip through the canyons. And you see some of those yellow colors on the forecast gust map. That's a good indicator that the windiest locations will probably see a few hours of stronger gusts in the 60 to even 80 mile per hour range. Offshore flow will continue through the day on Sunday, but will back off to more in the way of weak Santa Ana type conditions again by the afternoon, evening, and overnight. In terms of RH, as expected, we saw some decent improvement last night, especially below 1,000 feet, thanks to that shift to light onshore flow yesterday, bringing just a little bit of marine air in. But it's still going to be dry out there. Here are today's forecast minimums, which will be mainly in the 10 to 20% range for Southern California. And after widespread poor recoveries tonight thanks to those winds, tomorrow will be a very dry day, with widespread min-RH in the upper single digits and low teens. There may be a brief lull in winds Monday morning and midday. However, a long-duration period of Santa Ana winds is likely from much of Monday through Wednesday. This still looks like a moderate event overall, with winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour and gusts to 50 miles per hour likely. But I will say, if anything, this event is looking a little weaker today than what it was looking like yesterday, so we'll hope that trend continues. And I also want to emphasize that for that Monday to Wednesday period, it's really going to be more of an east wind event than a north or northeast wind event, so a special heads up for areas like the Riverside and San Diego County mountains that are more prone to the east winds. For Monday through Wednesday, minimum RH looks to be mainly in the 10 to 20% range over Southern California, with less in the way of single-digit values, though some isolated ones are likely. But overall, that period will not be quite as dry as our recent wind events. However, poor recoveries will continue in many areas overnight. High temperatures will mostly be in the upper 60s to near 70 degrees over Southern California for the next several days, with 50s and low 60s in Central California, so we're not expecting any overly warm weather with these upcoming winds either. And finally, it still looks like some light rain shower activity is possible over Southern California by Friday or next weekend, but that is uncertain and really does not look likely to be anything significant. However, a reversal to a light onshore flow and a sizable increase in RH is probable by the end of next week, which should mark at least a temporary end to our significant fire weather issues. Of course, one of our big concerns across the region is and will remain fuel conditions. All of our dead fuels, and especially the 1 and 10-hour fuels, are exceptionally dry and will only dry further in the coming days. Even though it's not particularly warm outside, our dryness is now equivalent or worse than anything you typically see, even in the summer months. And check out the ERCs for our Southern Mountains PSA, which are now above record levels for this time of year. These are big watch-out items, so even though our upcoming weather is not as severe as what we recently saw, you really have to respect how dry our fuels are right now. In summary, elevated to brief critical fire weather conditions are expected for most of the daytime today over Southern California due to the dry conditions and increasing northwest to northeast winds. High-risk conditions will develop over the south coast and western mountains tonight through much of Sunday as Santa Ana winds increase and RH falls further. Rapid rates of spread and long-range spotting will be possible on any new starts or existing fires. The large fire threat will remain elevated to high from Monday through Wednesday. High risks remain for the south coast for Monday and for several PSAs for Tuesday when winds look to be the strongest. Right now, Wednesday looks to remain below high-risk thresholds, but that will be monitored. And while there is considerable uncertainty in the broader weather pattern, fire weather risks should lower significantly by the end of next week, as any offshore flow looks unlikely by then. And that's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Sunday, January 12th.